What's happening, hot stuff?
What's happening, computer apps? Today we're going to continue on in our journey of learning Excel, and specifically we're going to learn how Excel can do math functions and formulas for you. Because seriously, who here enjoys doing math?
Raise your hand if ill.
We're also going to be learning how to format our cells with cell styles so we don't have to do all the formatting manually. And finally, we'll look at how to insert different charts and graphs into our Excel spreadsheet. So if you haven't already, please open up your gradebook from our last video.
So in row 8, I'm going to click in A8 and cell A8. I want to make this my totals row, so I'm going to type totals. And I want to find the total of all the test scores added together. Now, instead of pulling out a calculator and doing this, I can have Excel do it for me automatically. And it's done on the Home tab up here in this editing group.
And any math problem that you have Excel do for you is called a function. Whereas a math problem that you would have to write out in Excel, which is something we're going to learn how to do later, is called a formula. Now, Excel keeps this list of frequently used functions hiding under AutoSum. So you'll see that we have sum, average, count numbers, max, and min. And there are plenty more if you would click the More Functions button. But these are the most commonly used functions in Excel. And so we're going to start up here at the top
by using the sum. So if I want to find what all the test scores added together are, all I need to do is first click in the cell you want your answer in. Always click in the cell you want your answer in. So if I want my answer in D8, I'm going to click there. Then I'm going to go choose what I want to happen. I want to figure out the sum. So I'm just going to click Auto Sum. And it has put something in there for me. It has said equals sum, and then it's got D3 colon D7. D3 colon D7 is a range of cells. Or the range of cells, as we can see right here, is this dotted marching ants line. So the range is what is selected or what it's finding the sum of. Now, if I don't like this as the range, I could define my own range using Chunky Plus. So if I only wanted to add this cell D3 and 4, I would just click and highlight the Chunky Plus. Now, I want to find the range, obviously, of all these, so I'm Chunky Plus, clicking and dragging. And I do want my range for D3 to D7. If that's good, if I have the right range selected with these dotting ants, then all I need to do is press Enter, and it's automatically going to find the sum for that. So let's practice again in E8. I want my answer in E8, so click the cell you want your answer in. Then I'm just going up to Auto Sum. I make sure it's got the right range highlighted, and I press Enter. Pretty sweet. Let's try with max and min. So I want to find the maximum of all my test scores, and I want the answer to go in D9, so I'm clicking in D9. I'm going up to Auto Sum, and this time I'm choosing from the drop-down menu. I want to find the max number. Now the range it grabbed right now was everything including the total. I do never, ever, ever want my totals included when I find max and min or average. So make sure your range only goes up to the actual last person, never include the totals. So if that's good, I've highlighted using Chunky Plus everything but my totals, then I press Enter. Now I could go into E9 and do the same steps again, where I go up, I choose max, and then I redefine my range, and I press Enter. But let's say I have like 20 more tests. It's kind of old clicking all the way up and all the way back.
So there's a way for you to copy any function or formula
from cell to cell. So let's try it with min. I'm going to click in the cell I want my answer in. I want to find the min. I'm going to do that. I only want it for my tests, not my totals or my max. So I'm going to highlight that, press Enter. Now, I want this same exact min function to go into E as well. If I put my mouse in the very lower right-hand corner, it turns into that little plus. This is called the fill handler. Fill handler copies any functions or formulas from cell to cell. So if I click that and drag, I'm going to see kind of that dotted line. Now if I let go, it's copied. If I click on this E10 and I look up at the formula bar, it's copied that minimum function and it's automatically put in for me E3 to E7. So if I click it right now, it's finding the minimum of those blue cells. So it's really cool where I don't have to use the function buttons up here all the time. If I want to copy this, I just click on the cell I want to copy. In the bottom right hand corner, I wait for the little plus, and then I click and I drag, and that's actually going to copy that minimum function all the way over. Now the reason it's coming up with zeros in this column is because I don't have any numbers here. Let's say I went back up later and put in test 3, and I just fill in some numbers. Everybody got a 55, or that person got a 555, 76. Maybe this person got a 0. Notice it was changing my min as I went. Well, it's back to 0 because that was the lowest number of those 4. If I put in a 44, now it changed it to 44. So if I wanted to copy my totals over, click in the bottom and drag, click in the bottom and drag. So I do want you to add a test 3, and I want you to use that fill handler in the bottom right hand corner to copy over your formulas. So I'm just clicking and dragging. So I want your totals, your max, your min, and then I want you to do average. So I'm going to type in average, click in the cell I want my answer in, go up, I want the average, define your range using Chunky Plus, don't include the totals, the max, or the min, press enter, and use that fill handler. Bottom right hand corner, click and drag, now it's found the average of those scores. And because those are all centered, I'm going to put these in the center as well. Now the cool thing about Excel is they have some predefined cell styles, just like we had picture styles or we had table styles. We have cell styles too. So if I want my totals row to be special, I highlight it. And up here under styles, I'm going to choose cell styles. And they've got a couple different ones. So if I want it to be a total row, I'm going to choose the total style. And now it adds some borders, it does formatting with my fonts. Maybe I want my max, my min, and my average to all be in this accent 4. So I can use cell styles to format my worksheet as well. And one of the last types of formatting we're going to do was going back in and adding that percent sign. So remember I told you how you didn't have to type the percent sign after every single score? You don't. Same thing with like money. Let's say these were all numerical money values. I would not have to type the dollar sign. Excel does a lot of formatting for you to save you time. So if I wanted all of these to be percents, I would first use Chunky Plus to highlight these numbers. And then we're in formatting, so we're on the Home tab. And I'm formatting in this number group. And here it gives me a bunch of different options. I could format it with the money sign. I could format it percent. I could do a comma. And if you highlight over, it kind of tells you how it's going to format it. I could add decimals. I could have no decimals. I can also choose from this drop-down menu how I want it formatted. So if I want it as a percentage, I could click percentage from the drop-down menu, or it's got some quick ones that are used frequently. So if I wanted to see these as a percentage, I could click percentage. Now these are huge percentages, right? Because I typed in 99, so it added 2 zeros. If I wanted to actually see 99%, that's inserting it as a decimal. So 0.99 is 99%. So I would have to go back and do like 0.66, 0.43, and then it formats it correctly for me. I'm like undoing here. Let's say I thought these were monies. If I did the dollar symbol, now it's done it as money. And again, you can do more than one. So if I wanted to see only maybe, since they're all even numbers, I don't care about the decimals with the zeros, I can just have dollar signs for zero. Now, wouldn't that be cool if our tests were actually worth money, right? I could try a bunch of these different ones. If I have something formatted and I don't want it there anymore, you can always just click the drop-down menu and just go back to general, and it'll just give you that general number again. So do know that you can easily add in the dollar signs and the percentages later, and you don't have to do them that way. Another formatting thing that I think is really cool is you can format the sheet name and color. So right now, if I don't want this called Sheet 1, I want it called Gradebook, I just right-click on Sheet 1, and I'm going to go to Rename, and this is the Gradebook. And I can also color this a special color. So I could right click and tab color it. And let's say since I have some blues and purples, maybe I do this in purple. And notice it doesn't look like it changed colors over here. But if I chose sheet 2, now I see that gradebook is purple. So if I go back to gradebook, it doesn't really look like that. But if I'm on a different sheet, I can tell that it's colored that way. So at this point, you should have your sheet renamed and have chosen a tab color. You should have done any sort of cell styles you wanted to, any sort of font formatting. You should have also found the totals for all your tests, the maxes for your tests, the mins, and the average for your tests. The final thing we're going to do is make a chart of our data.
So the first step is to tell Excel what we want to make a chart or a graph of.
Now I want to do it of everything except, again, my totals. I don't want my totals in my chart. And I want to show off that it's the gradebook. I want to say my students' names and all 3 of their tests.
So you're going to go ahead and in A1, I'm going to select everything using my chunky plus all the way down to F7 and not include my totals. And then since I'm inserting a chart or a graph, I'm going to use my insert tab. And you can see I've got this whole charts group here.
So I could do a column chart, a line, a pie, bar, area, scatter. And there's tons of different options. For now, let's just try a column one. And if you click it, you get a bunch of different options. So if I do this 3D clustered column, in order to insert this, I just click it, and it's going to insert my chart for me right over here. Now, we always want our chart either right to the right of our data or right below it, just so that it formatted really nicely. So either right below our data or right to the right. And to move it, again, I'm just making sure I've got this crosshair right on the very top, and then I can click and drag. I can also make my chart bigger or smaller this way by hovering over in the right hand corner. It's automatically labeled things for me and colored things for me, which is really cool.
One thing you will have to add is an actual title for your chart. So if you just click on chart title, you can select that and type in that this is our gradebook.
And then notice too, when you have a chart inserted and you have a chart selected, just like when we inserted pictures or tables, we get that special tab on the ribbon.
And we've got 2 tabs this time within Chart Tools. We've got Design, which gives us what our chart looks like, and Format, which again gives us a little more in-depth option as to colors and the fill of our chart and some effects on the styles of our chart.
So I can change different things on my chart by using this Chart Tools tab at the top. So like if I didn't like these colors, I could choose a different design. So that is inserting a chart. The biggest thing, again, when we insert a chart is to make sure we have the right data selected. If you try to insert a chart with no data selected, so I have nothing selected, and I go up to insert and I try column chart, it's going to be blank. I've seen people do that a lot of times. Again, when you do your charts, make sure you've highlighted all of the data, including the column headings, but do not do totals. So I do not care what type of chart you insert, just as long as you insert a chart. And remember, those charts either go right to the right or below our data. So right now I'm looking at my Excel spreadsheet and it's looking pretty awesome. I've got the basics of everything down. The only thing I notice up here is that I had added that extra test score column. So now gradebook is not quite across the whole table. So if I want that to happen, I'm just going to highlight my first cell and then through F because I want it to go all the way there. I'm going to unmerge and remerge, and now that looks a little better. So you're completely done once you've inserted your chart and formatted that how you want it. We are going to save this gradebook to use later. You do not need to upload it yet. We're going to be using it in our next couple tables with Excel. As long as you've saved it as gradebook, we're good to go.
His name is Long Duck Dong.
What?
Long Duck Dong. He came down with Grandma and Grandpa Baker. He's an exchange student that's living with them.
Yeah, well, he's totally bizarre.
He is not. He is a very sweet boy.
I don't suppose it makes any difference to you, but there's a very weird Chinese guy up in Mike's room.